Krishna 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 Ram Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Nam Nam Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Ram 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 Ram
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Nam Nam Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare Hare Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Nam
Krishna Krishna
Nam Nam
Krishna Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare Ram Nam 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare Ram Nam Nam
Krishna
Nam Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Ram Nam 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 Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Nam Nam Nam
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam
Ram
Nam Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare Hare Ram Nam Nam Nam
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare
Ram
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare
Nam
Krishna
Nam Nam Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna Ram
Hare Hare Hare
Ram
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram Nam 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Nam Nam Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Hare
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
Hare
कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां
Ram
पावनेभ्यो
Hare
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Yashamati from Chicago. Once again, welcome all of you to the mid-morning japa session. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. Let us move to our next part of the session, which is Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. May I know who all have joined this call?
Krishna Yashrimati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Preeti Vilasini Devi Dasi from London.
Hare Krishna, Priti Vilasini Devi Dasi Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining and giving your very beautiful services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to all the Simon devotees, especially joining from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Shashidhar Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much for attending this session and giving your very beautiful chanting, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, glory to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Nitu Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much Mataji for joining every day in the morning and mid-morning and very beautiful chanting Mataji. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody else?
Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, and to all the Sangha devotees. This is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Megha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much Mataji for joining and beautiful chanting every day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, service to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas, and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirtida Sundari Dasi.
Hare Krishna Kirtida Sundari Dasi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you Mataji very much for joining this session and giving your beautiful services. Thank you Mataji. Hare Krishna, eagerly waiting for your nectar. Hare Krishna. Before we start the session, I would like to read the Prabhupada's quote. There is no limit to perfection. We may go on improving more and more, and still there is no limit to how much we may please Krishna. Just like for the materialist, there is no limit to how much Maya can kick us. Letter to Balwanta, December 12, 1971. December 22, sorry, 1971. So welcoming to Bhakti Sangha Japa Group. Today we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Dasi Mataji on the topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda, chapter 15, verse 29 onwards. Thank you very much Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much Mataji for giving your very valuable time and association to this morning and enlightening us on this topic. Now I hand over call to you Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Yashomati Mataji. Thank you so much.
Mataji, I cannot hear you.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me now?
No.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Anybody can hear?
Yes,
Yeah,
Mataji.
I can hear.
Or only me?
Yeah, me, it's only you.
Only from me, I cannot hear, right?
I can hear also, Mataji.
Yeah, I can hear.
Then I have to do. I will leave and come again.
Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So Yashomati Mataji, because of technology problem, she has to leave. But thank you, Mataji, for warmly introducing everybody. And thank you each and every one of you for joining us and sharing your valuable time with all of us. So we'll begin with our Caitanya Bhagavata session. And
Still I am not hearing. Again I will go.
Okay,
Sorry
no.
Mataji, something problem.
I'm starting the class, Mataji, no worries. Thank you so much. Okay. So let's begin with our Mangalacharan prayers and then we can move forward. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Ananda Leela Maya Vigrahaya Hema Divya Chavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Ajanulambita Kanakau Ajanulambita Bhujau Kanakavadhatau Sankirtanai Kopitarau Kamalayatakshav Vishwambharau Dvijavarau Yugadharma Palau Vande Jagat Priyakarau Karunavatarau Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Jayati Jayati Kirti Stasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhritya Stasya Vishveshwamurte Jayati Jayati Nityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam Mukam Karoti Vachalum Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripahatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you once again for all of your wonderful and very, very needed association. Because of all of your association is what is keeping all of us to read the scriptures, read our Shastras, to read Caitanya Bhagavata, which is such a beautiful book written by Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur in glorification of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So it is all because of your association that is keeping us going forward and forward. So thank you all so much. Really, really grateful to each and every one of you. And now I really want each and every one of you to please shower your blessings, your prayers, your wishes, so that I can speak something relevant to the subject matter. Definitely these subject matter, I have not excelled them, but I am aspiring to follow them, to imbibe them in my life and in association of all of you. So please shower your blessings. Vancha kalpatarubhischa kripa sindhu vayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai. Nam Acharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. So we are in Caitanya Bhagavat Adi khanda, and we are in chapter number 15 entitled Marriage to Sri Vishnu Priya. So in the last chapter we did about the disappearance of Lakshmi Priya and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his scholastic pastimes, his Vidya Vilas Leela. And in continuation of that, because our Mahaprabhu is around 16, 17 years old right now, and in continuation to Mahaprabhu's Leela, now Vrindavan Das Thakur is describing that how Mahaprabhu continued, teaching this Sanskrit grammar and other Shastras to his students on the banks of river Ganga. And very diligently he used to teach. And now in this chapter, we already have studied that how Mahaprabhu, once how one devotee, one student came without tilak, and Mahaprabhu sent him back, that go back and put tilak and then only you come. And there, Vrindavan Das Thakur, along with beautiful, elaborate, extensive purports by His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, describes what is the importance of putting this Vaishnava tilak, which is Urdhva Pundra tilak. And not only on our forehead, but all the 12 places around on our body. And just not putting, but reciting the mantras associated, like Om Keshavaya Nama, Om Govindaya Nama, Om Damodaraya Nama, so and so forth. So how we have to follow these instructions, and how very strongly Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the purport writes, and also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes, that any activity, any spiritual activity, whether it's doing arati, it's giving Bhagavatam class, Chaitanya Charitamrita class, means sitting on a Vyasasana and saying some words, or even doing arati, dressing the deities, and not only those, but even chanting our Diksha mantras, we have to put tilak. Otherwise, all such activities will not be fruitful, will not be useful. So we should always try to put our tilak, even while chanting our 16 rounds, we should try that we should put tilak and then only we should chant. So importance of tilak was being established in few verses of this chapter. And then Vrindavan Das Thakur describes that how Mahaprabhu was, very, very jokingly, he was playing around with all the, inhabitants of Sri Hatta, how he was mimicking their pronunciation. He was making fun of them. Though they were not happy, they were angry. That anger was aroused in their hearts because of Mahaprabhu's action. And they took very seriously, very insulting. But still, Mahaprabhu just enjoyed his pastimes by doing all these activities. And yesterday we heard a very wonderful class on this section. In continuation with that, then Vrindavan Das Thakur describes that yes, Mahaprabhu did all these kind of teasing the inhabitants of Sri Hatta, and he was playing around. He was being caught by Shikhadara, means a person from a royal court, but still, his classmates, his students would come and would rescue Mahaprabhu. So all these things went on, but still Mahaprabhu was maintaining the distance with the women. So that was the point where yesterday we ended. And then today we'll continue with the same point, that how Mahaprabhu was very, very respectable to the opposite gender, that is towards the females. In one of the previous verses, that is 17, because today we are starting from verse number 29 or 28, I believe. But in the verse 17 also, when Vrindavan Das Thakur was describing, he said that Sabhe paras triri prati, Sabhe paras tira prati, nahi parihasa. Though Mahaprabhu was enjoying his scholastic pastimes and was doing parihasa, means jokingly he was imitating, making the pronunciation of people of Sri Hatta, but still he was very, very respectable to women. He was very, very respectable. He was not doing any kind of parihas, any kind of joking with the opposite sex, with women. Sabhe parastira means other striyas, other women, nahi parihasa. He would not do any kind of parihas or joke with the woman. And then stri dekhi dure prabhu, havena eka pasha. And not only that, as soon as he will see any woman, he will give way. He will move aside, he will step back, and he will give way so that women can pass without even touching or seeing, means with a proper distance, the woman can pass that area, that path, without even talking. So that was the condition, that was Mahaprabhu was, that Yes, on one side, he was doing all kinds of mischiefs, so-called mischiefs, and just making fun of them, but still he was very, very respectable. So that itself means that he knows his boundary, and he was establishing this fact for us now, that we all should also know our boundaries. Making fun of, joking, teasing is okay till the time it is in the same gender. We have to be very, very respectful for that. Secondly, we should have the authority to do it. We should never do it to our seniors, never ever. And third thing is that all these, especially for us, we should try to do it like teasing or making fun of, should be done. Like if somebody wants to do, I'm not saying should be done, but if somebody is doing it, we have to make it a point that it should be done only to the limit till the other person is enjoying. If we see that the other person is getting irritated or frustrated, we should try to maintain a distance, or we should stop our teasing and so-called words. Why? Because this is further going to lead to Vaishnava aparadh. So we don't want any kind of aparadh to happen. So for us, we have to be very, very careful that among friends, yes, some teasing happens, which is fine, but only till the time that they are of the same gender, they are not our seniors, they are of our equals. And also the third, which is very important point, is till the time they are enjoying. And the moment we feel that there is some kind of frustration or anger is arousing in them, we should stop our words. So this was the very important lesson that we learned. And I'll share my screen and we'll continue with the verse of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata, chapter 15. And now we are in the verse 28. Right. So anyway, 29, but we'll read 28 also. Ei mata chapale akare na sabasane savastri matra na dekhana drishti kone. So yes, Mahaprabhu would give way, as we read in verse number 17. I can show that verse too, so that we know. Yeah. Sabha para strira prati nahi parihasa stri dekhi dura prabhu hayena eka pasha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never joked with others' wives, never ever. As soon as he saw a woman coming, he would immediately give her ample room to pass without talking. And after that, not only that, now Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying that Ei mata chapaleya karena sabhashane sabhastri matra na dekhana drishtikone. So not only he would give ample space to pass for a woman without talking, but not only that, but even he would not see any woman with drishti kone, with the corner of his eyes. Sometimes when we are attracted to someone, maybe of the same sex or opposite sex, when the person passes, or because of some beauty or some charisma that person is holding, if we are attracted, then we normally see with the corner of our eyes, right? If not openly. But this is what Mahaprabhu was, that he would never see any woman, not even with the corner of his eyes. He would, first of all, he would give ample space so that woman can pass easily. And even after being, giving ample space so that woman can pass, not only that, but he will not even see any woman from the corner of his eyes. So in this way, the Lord created mischief for everyone, yes, but he did not even look at women from the corner of his eyes. So this is a very, very important principle. So text 29, that is the verse for today. Stri hena nama prabhu ei avatare shravano na karila vedita samasare. It is well known throughout the world that the Lord in this incarnation did not even hear the word woman. So see how strict brahmachari he was. Though he was married to Lakshmi Priya, and Lakshmi Priya has already left this world, this planet, but still Mahaprabhu was very, very strict that he would not look at the other woman, and not only, not from the corner of his eyes. And what to talk about that, even he has not, Shravano na karila Viditera samsare. He would not hear any woman talking also. So this is very, very important. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur in the Purport writes, I have highlighted, that wherever the enjoying mentality of the living entities is engaged in enjoying women, it is to be understood that there is a lack of service attitude towards Krishna, who is the husband of all women. So this is very, very important. Now, one may say that why only women, women, women? Is woman at fault? No, woman is not at fault. It's not the woman who is at fault. It's the nature of person, the one's lusty desire, which is at fault. So it can be a woman for a man, and it can be a man for a woman. So it's both the case, right? So wherever there is an enjoying mentality in the living entities, in engaging or enjoying a woman or maybe with men, actually that lusty desire comes. We have to understand that there is a lack of service attitude. Why such lusty desires come? Because we have ample amount of time which we are not using in Krishna service. I request devotees can mute their phones or gadgets. Thank you. So these lusty desires come when we have ample of time which is not used in Krishna service. Because if 24/7, if we are engaged in thoughts or absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna or how I can serve Krishna, then such lusty thoughts will not come. There is no room actually. So if the room is filled with all kind of things, then, there is no space. Like I'm just giving a material example. If our room is filled with all kind of things, like there are a lot of furniture, lampshades and tables and like bed and everything is there, and it's totally filled up. And do you think that you can fit in any extra piece of furniture? No, it's already full. So similarly, if our mind, which is like a room, if it is filled with the thoughts of Lord Shri Krishna, or how I can serve Lord Shri Krishna, or how I can engage myself in serving Lord Shri Krishna, there are many devotional aspects, right? We can chant, we can hear classes, we can read Srila Prabhupada books. If we try to engage our time, or we can cook for the deities, we can dress the deities, we can clean the place. There are so many things, right? So if we try to engage our time into all these activities, then definitely there will be no time left in thinking about something mundane, right? So therefore, Saraswati Thakur writes that if we have some mundane thoughts that is coming in our mind, that itself implies that there is lack of service attitude. That means we are doing less of service towards Lord Shri Krishna. That's why our mind is having some time where the mind can go towards mundane thoughts. So it is very, very important. And if anyone came before Gaurasundra to discuss or bring up some worldly topics about women, he would immediately and specifically forbid them. So Mahaprabhu will not tolerate any kind of mischief done to any kind of parastri, that is, any kind of lady of another's wives. So Prabhupada, this is very, very important, that how especially a person in a renounced order of life and in brahmacharya and in vanaprastha. These three ashrams, definitely there should not be any interaction with the woman, not be any interaction with the woman. And not only these three ashrams, but also in Grahastha ashram, we should be very, very particular about it, that yes, we have some liberties in Grahastha ashram where we can joke or we can do any kind of parihas with our spouse. But at the same time, we should maintain the distance with other women, with other women. So that's what even Chanakya Pandit, he says Matravat paradareshu paradreshu lotsavat atma sarvabhuteshu yaha pashyati sa pandita. That one should consider all other women to be one's mother. All other women to be one's mother. The person who considers this is actually considered to be a pandita. Otherwise, if we just stick to, that we have the liberty in Grahastha ashram where we can joke with any woman, well, that is not allowed. So we should consider other women as one's mother or sister. But we have only, in Grahastha ashram, we have only liberty is that we can joke around or we can interact with our spouse. Now, this applies to both. If I'm saying woman, that applies both. For men, it is women, and for women, it is men. It's not that only woman is, the key factor here. That's not true. Even men can be a key factor if women are not sincere in their services. So for women, even men can be object of their lusty desires. So we should be very, very particular in whatever ashram we are in. So right now we all are in Grahastha ashram. So definitely we should maintain the rules and regulations of our Grahastha ashram. So when we take vow of not performing illicit sex, so Srila Prabhupada actually quotes in one of his lecture that there are 6 types of illicit sex, 6 types of illicit sex. And he says, especially, now this applies especially to brahmacharya, to sannyasis, and to vanaprastha. What are the 6 types of illicit sex that Prabhupada describes is smaranam, kirtanam, keli, prekshanam, guhyam, asanam, sankalpo, and adhyavyasa. So these are the 6 types. Smarana means remembering. We all know. Now, thinking of sex life is also an illicit sex. Now, you can just imagine, especially for a brahmachari, sannyasi, and for vanaprastha, thinking of sex life is also considered to be an illicit sex. That is the first type of illicit sex that Prabhupada describes as smaranam. Now we can find that this smaranam can be used in Krishna service, right? It is also one of the limb of devotional service, smaranam. Yes, we have to remember Krishna 24/7. We have to be absorbed in his thoughts. But if that is not happening, then our mind is going towards mundane things. So that check we have to make on our own. So Prabhupada describes that smaranam, that means thinking of sex life, can also be an illicit sex for brahmacharya. Then second is kirtanam, that is chanting, means talking about sex life. Like especially from newspapers, when we read and we just talk about, or reading. Kirtanam involves reading or talking about sex life is also considered to be an illicit sex. Third is keli. Keli is the grossest type of illicit sex, means performing, when you physically indulge into sex life, actually indulging in sex life. That is definitely an illicit sex. Next is prekshanam, that is looking or overlooking a nice boy or a nice girl. That is also against brahmacharya. So when I say brahmacharya, when Prabhupada says it's brahmacharya life, means that you have to be strict brahmachari. And this applies not only to men, but also to a woman. The woman also should strictly follow this brahmachari life before they get married. Means that they should not indulge in any kind of physical relationship with other boy, and a boy should not also indulge into any kind of physical relationship with girl before marriage. And this applies for boys. It is minimum 25 years of life. So you have to follow that brahmacharya life up to age of 25 years. Now, when we say that one should not perform any kind of sexual activities with the opposite sex, that doesn't mean that, by other means you let loose your semen go. That is also not allowed. Means any kind of way where you lose your semen before getting married is considered to be an illicit sex. So we have to follow this rule, particularly for men, for a boy or a girl up to the age of 25 years. That's what Prabhupada says. So we talked about Smaranam, Kirtanam, Keli, that is actually performing, and Prekshanam means looking. This is also like opposite sex, looking and getting attracted. That is also kind of illicit sex. Then fifth one is Guyam, means when the boys and girls, they whisper in each other and they talk something confidential. That is also against brahmachari. That is also considered to be an illicit sex. Sixth is asanam. One should not even allow oneself to sit on the same seat, even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. So this is actually the verse 19-17, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, chapter 19, verse 17. Very, very important verse. Matra swaswa duhitrava na viveksano bhavait balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam apikharshati. What it says, matra, with one's own mother. Swasra means with one's own sister. Duhitra means one's one daughter. So with one's own daughter. Avivik sano bhavet means asan means the place one sit. And vivikta asan means a separate asan, separate. But avivikta asan means that you share the same asan. You share the same place where you sit. So that's what in Srimad Bhagavatam it has been described, that one should not even allow to sit on the same asan where one's mother, sister, or daughter is sitting. Why? Balavan indriya gramo, because our indriyas, our senses are very, very strong. Even though we may think that we are vidvamsa, we are so intelligent, we are so advanced in knowledge, we may be attracted by sex. So why to take this thing, giving the opportunity to ourselves to sit with the opposite sex and give our senses an object so that the senses get loose to and get attracted to the opposite sex. So in this regard, there is a very beautiful pastime also. We'll discuss it later if time permits. You all can remind me if I forget. But do remember this verse, this is 9:19-17, that one should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat, even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter. For senses are very strong, and even if one thinks that I'm so advanced, one should be very, very careful because Maya is very strong. Now, this applies to women also. The women also should not share the same seat with one's father, with one's brother, and with one's son, especially when the son is, of a grown-up age. We should try to avoid that because senses are very, very strong. We should be very, very careful. So we saw that how Prabhupada described. So asanam, which was the sixth one. Seventh is sankalpa, that is determination of sex life. This is also a kind of illicit sex. And finally is adhyavasaya, means endeavoring. Okay, putting some efforts, going to some sites or some scenes or provoking our senses somehow to get indulged in sex life. Means endeavoring how to get into sex life. That is also an offense. That is also basically considered to be an illicit sex. So this is what Prabhupada describes, that senses are very, very strong. So we should be very, very careful. So these 8 types of activities and sex indulgences are actually against these 3 ashrams. And this is about the 3 ashrams, that is Brahmacharya, Sannyas, and Vanaprastha. But we, actually in Dharma Shastras, it is okay to parihas or to get intimate with one's wife in Dharma Shastras. It is legal. But we are not in following Dharma Shastras. We are in Bhagavad Dharma. And in Bhagavad Dharma, we see our spouse also as a devotee of Krishna. Now, that doesn't mean that if we are into grahasthashram, so we should not endeavor to have children. That endeavorance is okay till the time we are desiring to have a Krishna conscious child. And there are some rules for that too. But later, if we are done with our family, then we should try to avoid even with our spouse, because, that is also considered to be an illicit sex. So this is what is, because Prabhupada, so many places in purports, he writes that the sex can be done between husband and wife in grahasthashram is legal, is okay, till the time we are doing it for procreation, not for our sense gratification. So this is very, very important. I thought that because this topic came up, which is a very, very sensitive topic, not to be discussed in the open forum like this, but because it has been discussed here, that how even Caitanya Mahaprabhu was so serious in maintaining the distance with the opposite sex. So that's why we see that in our temple, there is a separate place, women should sit on one side, Vaishnavis should sit on one side, and Vaishnavas should sit on the other side, which is okay. We should try to maintain that balance, that distance. Right? Text 30 and 32. Ataiva yata mama hima sakale gauranga nagara hinastava nahi bale yatyapi sakalastava sambhaveta hane tathapi ha swabhava se gaya buddha jane he namate Shri Mukunda Sanjaya Mandire Vidyarase Shri Vaikuntha Nayaka Vihare. So Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur, he writes in the purport, but before that we'll just read about the translation. Therefore, great personalities do not offer prayers addressing Lord Gauranga as Gauranga Nagara. Nagara, here it says, right? Gauranga Nagara. Gauranga Nagara means beloved, right? So we never ever see Mahaprabhu in this kind of mood, right? As Gauranga, or the enjoyer of damsels. Although all kinds of prayers may be offered to the Supreme Lord, intelligent persons glorify only those characteristics that a particular incarnation manifests. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha enjoyed his scholastic pastimes in the house of Mukunda Sanjaya. Now, this is again very, very important, that we have to be very careful of the incarnation whom we are worshipping too. Yes, we can have any kind of relationship with the Supreme Lord. He is Raso Vaisaha, right? Krishna is Raso Vaisaha. We can have any kind of relationship. But again, we have to see that a special incarnation comes for a special purpose. Like Lord Ramachandra, he was a Eka Patni Vrata, right? But when Shrupnakha approached Lord Ram said no to it, right? Because she wants to enjoy Ram, leaving Mother Sita, right? So here also, our Lord Mahaprabhu, our Nimai Pandit, our Gauranga Mahaprabhu has come in a bhakta bhav, in a devotee form. So we should be very, very careful that we should not disturb his mood. That's what his incarnation was. Though he is Krishna himself, there is no doubt about it, no samshaya about it. But still, because he has not come as a supreme enjoyer, he has come to be enjoyed. He is coming to be as a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna in Radha Bhav, in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So we should not try to disturb his mood. We'll read a little bit of purport here. That is why the sampradayas of Mahajans, who are eternally perfect associates of Lord, are always engaged in glorifying the Lord, as well as their non-duplicate followers who sing and recite the glories of the Lord, never in any way illicitly address, or will address Gauranga Mahaprabhu as Nagara. We never say that we can have a conjugal relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. No, that relationship is prohibited. And those who consider Lord, because there are certain people, we discussed last time, few classes back, that how there are certain group of people who are Gauranga Nagaris. They consider Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their lover. Well, that is condemned. That is condemned. Why? Because Shri Gauranga, yes, it is written, Shri Gauranga himself is Rajendra Nandan, no doubt about it. He is Shri Rajendra Nandan. He is Krishna, who is the enjoyer of all the women in spiritual as well as in the material kingdom. Yet there is no basis of glorifying Krishna as Nagara in his Gaura pastimes, because that incarnation has a different purpose to it. As such, actions are extremely contrary to the proper conclusions of serving Gaura Krishna. Vrajendra Nandan Krishna, who is Gopijana Vallabha, we can tell is the personification of conjugal affairs. Yes, our Vrajendra Nandan Krishna, our Gopijana Vallabha, is actually the personification of conjugal affairs, whereas the Gauranga pastimes are in the mood of Vipralamba, or in separation. Therefore, last line is very important. Therefore, no intelligent, non-duplicitous devotee of Gaura will try to disturb Lord's mood as Narayan. So we should not try to disturb his mood as Narayan. All right. Mahaprabhu's mood is of Vipralamba. Krishna, when he comes, he performs all the kinds of Rasa Leela, looking Srimati Radharani, enjoying the other gopis. Why? Because he has come for that purpose. His purpose was to perform Rasa Leela, right? To enjoy that intimate pastimes with the gopis, with other Vrajvasis, right? That was his purpose. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has not come to establish, though he has come. We know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually the verse is Anarpitam charim chirat karuna vitirna kalo samarpaitum unnata ujjvala rasam swabhakti shriyam. Though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us unnata ujjvala rasa, that ujjval rasa is actually the madhurya rasa, the rasa, the relationship between the gopis and Krishna. And not only that relationship, but unnata ujjvala rasa means higher than that is the love between Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give that unnata ujjvala rasa, but he himself has never engaged into so kind of rasa, right? He is in the mood of Vipralamba, is in the mood of separation of Krishna, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, where Mahaprabhu is simply crying, Kaha mora prananatha murali vadana, kaha karo, kaha ka paun, kya karu, kaha paun Vrajendra Nandana. He is simply crying, oh, where is my Murali Vadan? Where is my Lord of my life who is playing the flute? Where shall I go? Where shall I find that Supreme Lord, that Maharaj, the son of Maharaj Nanda? Where I can find that Rajendra Nandana. So that was Mahaprabhu's mood. So Mahaprabhu is teaching us that how Vipralamba Seva has to be performed. Vipralamba Seva has to be performed, which is very, very important. Right? So he has come to give us that mood of separation. So therefore, we should not try to disturb his mood by calling him Narayan. And in this regard, Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj would always say, that therefore one should never put a peacock feather on the turban of Mahaprabhu, and we should never put Tulsi Manjaris on his lotus feet, because we don't want to tell him that you are Krishna, because if we tell Mahaprabhu that you are Krishna, Mahaprabhu will close his ears, because that's not his mood. Though he is Krishna, but still Mahaprabhu's mood is that I am here in Bhakta Bhav, in the form of a devotee. So we should try to serve Mahaprabhu also in the same mood. Now, one can question that why especially in Mayapur Dham or in other temples, we do put peacock feather. We do offer peacock feather at the turban of Mahaprabhu, and we offer tulsi manjaris at his lotus feet. So yes, in this regard, Srila Prabhupada said that those who are very new, for them it's okay to put peacock feather at Gauranga Mahaprabhu's turban and to put manjaris at his lotus feet, because to show the world that he is not just a saint, but he is Krishna himself. He is Rajendra Nandan Krishna. He is Krishna and Nitai is Balaram. So it's okay to put. But especially when we are at home, when we have home deities and we know this philosophy, we should try not to disturb their mood, and we should worship them in Bhakta Bhav, in the mood for which they have come for, to establish the mood of separation, that Vipralamba Bhav. So we should be very, very careful. This transcendental Vipralambha ras instead of conjugal ras is eternally present in the pastimes of Gaura. So he came to establish this Vipralambha ras. Now, by the association of women or by seeing mundane women, this perverted mellows are awakened. Right? And as a result, the most relishable spiritual rasa, which is beyond this material consciousness, does not appear in the pure illuminated heart. Again, this is very, very important here. That people of this world also equate the relationship of Radha and Krishna, of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, as a normal relationship between a mundane boy and a mundane girl of this world. They equate it because they don't have proper knowledge. So here, Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he is mentioning that if we get attracted to so-called mundane women and mundane men of this material world, then we will lose our interest in discussing the highest spiritual topic, that is the intimate pastimes and relationship of our divine couple, that is Srimati Radharani and Krishna. Why? Because their relationship is not on mundane platform. If their relationship would have been just like a normal, ordinary boy and girl, then why do you think that Shukdev Goswami took time to narrate all these beautiful pastimes, and that too a person, a devotee who is about to leave his body in 7 days? Why do you think that he will do it? And why do you think that a Mahabhagavat like Parikshit Maharaj, who knows that he has just 7 days to live, will so attentively day and night, without even taking break of eating and sleeping, is hearing this Krishna Katha, is relishing this Krishna Katha, and is relishing these talks between gopis and Srimati Radharani and with Krishna? Why do you think that he will do it? Because this is on a very, very high spiritual platform. So we should not equate their relationship with the relationship of this boy and girl of this world. You know, one time I went for a book distribution. I was just standing outside the Patel brothers, and I was, there was one person who just passed, who just came out of that Patel brothers, and he passed me, and I just stopped him and showed him that Krishna book. First I showed him Bhagavad Gita, but he said, I'm not interested. Then I told him about Krishna book and told that how there are 90 stories, and it's so wonderful. You can pick out any story, and this way you will be always Krishna conscious, because you'll be talking about Krishna story, you'll be reading about Krishna stories, which is so good. And then he immediately took the book from me, and without even opening the book, he turned back, and there was a big picture of Krishna performing Rasa Leela. So he said that if this is the essence of the book, then I don't need this book, because this I'm already doing it in my life. So I was shocked. I was shocked that how he was equating his lusty desires with the spiritual connection, with the spiritual connection of Srimati Radharani and Krishna in the spiritual world. So he immediately gave the book back. He smiled, and I just gave no response. I was neutral on my face, and I let him go. I said, okay, maybe this is not a ripe fruit. So point here why I said this is because people, they really equate. If Krishna can do, why can't I? That's the normal thing. So we should be very, very careful, because if that will be our mood, then we will be totally in illusion of this material consciousness. Then we will never able to appraise our consciousness, uplift our consciousness to Krishna consciousness. So we have to get out of this illusion. चतुर्दिके शोभा शिष्य गणेरा मंडली मध्य पादायेन प्रभु महाकुतूहली. The Lord happily taught while sitting amidst various groups of his students. Text 34. विष्णु तैला शीरे दीते आछे कौन दासे आशेष प्रकारे व्याख्या कर निज रासे. Sometimes when the need arose, the Lord had a servant massage his head with the medicated oil while he continued giving his unique explanations. And Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur writes that about the invocation, the Nandi Shloka, the introduction shloka of Vidagdha Madhava Nataka, written by Srila Rupa Goswami, where Mahaprabhu explained his Nija Rasa. Right? So important here is he's saying Nija Rasa. Why? Because Mahaprabhu came to give what? Swabhakti Shriyam. He wants to open the treasure of his own bhakti. And what is that? Unnata Ujjvala Rasa Bhakti. That is the highest. Mahaprabhu came to give that. No doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that Mahaprabhu indulged into it. Right? He came to give because that is the highest. In Bhakta Bhav, he enjoyed these pastimes when he came as Krishna. But right when now, in Kali Yuga, when he came as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he wants to establish that that is the highest. Highest we should all aspire for in his own mood, right? That's what. And then we'll go with the second last verse of today. Usha kala haita dui prahara avadi padaya ganga snane chala gunanedi. The Lord, who is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, would teach from early morning till noon, and then he would go for bath in the Ganga. Nisharo adreka e mata pratidine padayena chintayena sabara apane. And in this way, the Lord regularly taught and studied up to midnight. So this is how Mahaprabhu was performing his Vidya Vilasa Leela, his scholastic pastimes. So thank you all so much. We'll stop here. I know today the topic was very, very sensitive. Please excuse me for that. But we are again a family, and because it is coming right from the Shastras, right from Caitanya Bhagavata, so it is very, very important that we should also try to imbibe in our life. And again, a disclaimer that time and again it has been mentioned about, woman. So we should be very understandable in this case that it's not only women, but it is actually for both. For men, it is women, and for women, it is men. It's not that only women is at fault. It's just that our thoughts are at fault. Our consciousness is at fault. It's not that the men are at fault, but it's just our consciousness is at fault. So we should try to uplift our consciousness, but at the same time, not agitating the consciousness by giving any kind of opportunity. So we should try to maintain a distance with the opposite sex, with very, very respectful nature. And then, we can do our bhajan, we can do our sadhana. Now, I said that I'll be narrating this story, on this topic, that how Maya is so strong and it can invoke the lusty desires in the heart of advanced devotees. So there is, if you ask me the source of this story, I don't have the source, but it has normally been quoted by many devotees, and very illustrative story it is. So just grab the essence and leave the rest. So it has been described that once upon a time, Srila Vyasadeva, we know who's Vyasadeva. Okay, we can just mute. Yeah. I'll take 10 more minutes and then we can end up. So we know who's Vyasadev. He is his name is Vyasadev because, like a Vyasa, he divided the Vedas. We know that the Vedas, actually, the first was only the Atharva Veda, but then he divided the Vedas into the 4 categories as Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved, and Atharva Ved. Right? So, and then he distributed all these Vedas, all these divisions to a particular set of rishis or the saints. Right, so he has a student, he has his Shishya who was Jaimini Rishi, right? We all know about Jaimini Rishi. And so this is actually between Jaimini Rishi and Vyasadev. So Jaimini Rishi, who was being given I think so, of Purna Vimamsa, he was being given about that. So once Vyasadev was conducting his Vedanta class among all his students, and in the course, he quoted that you all are young brahmacharis, you are staying in this brahmacharya ashram, so you should be very, very careful and you should not mix with the woman. As we discussed from the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, that one should not share the same seat with one's woman, daughter, or mother. So same way Vyasadeva was also saying that you should be very vigilant and, we should not sit or mix with other young women because, Maya is very strong and one can fall victim to lust because it's very, very powerful. So Jaimini Rishi, who was the author of Purva Vimamsa, he actually got agitated with all this. He said, O Guru Maharaj, how can you say, actually your statement is wrong? Because we are so advanced, though we are in a brahmachari life, but we are so advanced that now Maya cannot even touch us. So no lady can attract me. We are well established in our brahmacharya. Then Srila Vyasadeva, he didn't say anything. He said, okay, but still, my request is that you should be careful. You never know. Maya is strong. So just be careful. I'm not saying that you are not advanced. Okay, you are advanced, but still don't think yourself to be so advanced because Maya is higher than you. Maya can attract you in any way. So you should be careful, don't interact. Then he said, okay. So after that, next day, Vedvyas came and he told that, well, I'm leaving for Varanasi. I have to go for my pilgrimage yatra. I'm going to Varanasi. I'll be back in 3 days. So Jaimini Rishi, I'm making you the head of this entire brahmachari ashram. So you be careful and see that everybody follows their vows strictly. And I'll be back in 3 days. Right? But again, he warned that, don't get puffed up with your advancement in brahmacharya life. Don't get puffed up with pride. Be careful and take necessary steps. So Srila Vyasadeva, he went back. He went to Varanasi. Now, once this Jaimini Rishi, he was performing his Sandhya, means he was performing his Gayatri in the evening, his Gayatri mantras. He was chanting his Diksha mantras. He was doing his Sandhya and it was evening time. Right. And as he was doing his Sandhya, he could hear the ankle bells. And he just heard. And but since he was doing his Sandhya, he didn't open his eyes. He didn't let his mind go anywhere. He finished his Sandhya. But still, in his mind, he was hearing those ankle bells. So after his Sandhya, he saw that there is a very beautiful lady. He didn't see actually the lady. He didn't see the face of a lady because he was just sitting and the lady just stepped in, she stood in front of Jaimini Rishi. So this Jaimini Rishi, he just saw the anklets or heard the ankle bell of that lady. And that lady, in a very, very sweet voice, she was telling that it's already sunset. I have lost my way. I have to go to nearby village. And, I couldn't find any place. So can you please help me so that I can stay here in your ashram? So Jaimini Rishi said, well, that's not possible because in this ashram only the brahmacharis live. So I cannot give you any place to stay here. Then that lady said, well, if you can help me out because it's already nighttime, already it's raining so heavily. And, it's very hard for me to walk few distance and go to a village. It's really very hard. If you can give me a shelter just for one night, that will be a great help. So Jaimini Rishi said, well, but, my Gurudev is also not in town. I have the responsibility of this entire ashram. Why don't you just, walk few steps and you can find some grahastha couple and you can go there and you can stay. And then somehow she insisted that it's already raining and, it will be very hard for me. So if just for one night, if you kindly allow me and give me shelter. And a very, very sweet, loving, polite voice, charming voice, she was talking. And Jaimini Rishi was not even looking. He was not looking. He was just hearing the words and he was, interacting with that lady. He didn't even see that lady. So Jaimini Rishi thought for a while and, a compassion aroused, right? A compassion aroused. Now just see that Maya knows how to, and, like we see the case of Bharat Maharaj. Now, Bharat Maharaj, he was already on the stage of bhava. He was already on the stage of bhava. And that means he has already crossed the stage of anartha nivritti. He has crossed that nishtha, ruchi, asakti, and has come to the stage of bhava. And that too, he was in the forest. So Maya knows that if I give him some lusty desires, some pride, there'll be no fall down. I cannot test him because he has already almost onto the stage of bhava, crossed all the other stages, and especially the stage of anartha nivritti. So, so Maya knows. So therefore, how Maya tricked Bharat Maharaj? By his compassionate nature. Devotees are so compassionate. So just by compassionate nature, how he was so attracted to that baby deer. We know the story. So same here in Jaimini Rishi case also, that compassion arose in the heart of that Jaimini Rishi. And he thought for a while and he said, well, oh lady, my Gurudev is not in town. So his kutir is empty for 3 days. Because he said he'll be back in 3 days. So maybe you can stay one night, but make sure that, you lock the doors properly and, you stay inside and don't even open the door no matter whatever happens. And in the morning, as soon as the sun rises, you just leave without even informing anybody, you just leave this place. And that lady said, well, okay, I'll agree to it. So then this lady was inside, Jaimini Rishi went inside. He took that lady into that kutir of his Gurudev and he said, well, you can rest here and again, make sure you lock it from inside and don't open no matter whatever happens. And she said, okay. And Jaimini Rishi was, he said, I'll stay outside and I'll go to my kutir and, and morning, as soon as the sun rises, you just leave without even thinking of that you want to thank me or anybody else. You just leave. And then she said, okay. And as Jaimini Rishi, he lied down, he did his Sandhya Arti, everything was done. Now is the time to take Shayan. So he was just, outside of the kutir. And he started thinking, meditating on the sound, the anklet sound that he heard while doing his Sandhya. And he thought, well, I have not even asked the name of that lady, from which village she has come, to which village she is going. What if somebody tells about this to my Gurudev and my Gurudev will say that at least you would have inquired something from that lady. So let me go and ask her. And then he went and he said, oh lady, just open the door. He knocked the door. And the lady said, well, you only told me not to open the door. And he said, I am the one who gave you the shelter. So I am here to talk to you. So just open the door. Okay, she opened the door. And then Jaimini Rishi started conversing with that lady. So now, first time he saw the face of that lady, and he got so attracted that finally that lust aroused in his mind. The sexual craving arose in his mind, and he started thinking. Then he started proposing that lady. That, oh lady, you are so young, and your father must be finding some suitable match for you. So, I am the suitable match. You can marry me, and so on and so forth. And finally, he took few steps forward to embrace that lady. And immediately when he was trying to do it, that lady turned into Vyasadeva. So it was Srila Vyasadeva himself who came in the form of a young lady to teach his disciple that how Maya is so strong. And as soon as, that lady turned into Vyasadeva said, "Oh, my dear Jaimini, so what about the strength of your brahmacharya now? What did you say when I was lecturing on this subject matter, that you are so advanced and Maya cannot trick you or Maya cannot take you? So what happened to now?" And Jaimini Rishi lowered his head in utter shame and he said, "I'm wrong. I was wrong. And so please forgive me." So this is the story that, it's been mentioned, that how Maya can attract us, how Maya will find all the loopholes, all the loopholes she'll find. Just like for Bharat Maharaj, she found the loophole of being so compassionate, right? He was so compassionate. And same here in Jaimini Rishi case. And slowly those desires, they pop up. So it is very, very important that if such rishis, we have to see the example that if such rishis can be tested by Maya, then what to talk about people like you and me? At least I'll talk about myself. We are just a mere mortal conditioned souls, right? So we should be really, really very careful. Take necessary steps. Anukulena Krishna, which will help in our Krishna, something which is favorable to our Krishna consciousness, and leave which is pratikul, which is unfavorable. That is the right step that we all should try to do. And that's what Mahaprabhu is teaching through his example and through these words. So we'll stop here. Thank you all so much for your association. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So is there any comments, any questions we can take forward? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Sundari Mataji. What a beautiful class. I'm glad I was able to hear the whole class. Yeah, it was very interesting, all the instances and everything that you quoted. Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much for your association.
Thank you, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, for your association and for giving this opportunity to read Caitanya Bhagavata in that great detail. So thank you.
All yours.
Anyone else has anything?
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji, wonderful. You explained the concept very, very in detail and in a very clean manner. I thought it was wonderful that you actually, because there are so many do's and don'ts for all of us in each ashram, and you went through it all. It is a very difficult thing, especially I find like brahmachari ashram is probably not what we call the young children of today's day and age. They cannot maintain any of those standards. So yep, thank you so much for the session, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Indulekha Mataji. Yes, our kids, we can just tell them, train them properly right from the early age, that how they can maintain that brahmachari ashram. See, a proper brahmachari can be a proper grahastha. And that's so important. So we should try to train our children. And my Guru Maharaj would always say that, a boy should be under the care of a father after the age of 10, and a girl should be under the care of a mother after the age of 10. So it is very important that how mother should treat the girl and should train the girl properly. And similarly, the father shares the equal responsibility of training the boy and, sharing with the boy the necessary things to be taken. So, but that can only be possible when both the parents are advanced, when the parents know what is right and wrong, then accordingly they can train their children. And it is very, very important if children are very nicely trained by the parents, because outside world will not help them. Outside world will agitate them, deviate them, but it's only the parents who can very politely explain them what is right, what is wrong, and can bring them on the right path of Krishna consciousness. So it is very, very important. But if opposite happens, suppose if after the age of 10, if the boy is trained by a mother or a girl is trained by a father, then they will try to derive that aspect. So which is also wrong. If the boy always talks to the mother, then he will get the attributes of the mother. So the feminine attributes will be developed in that boy, which is also wrong. And similarly, if the girl so much interacts with the father, it's always trained by the father, then the girl will get a lot of attributes from the father, which is not right. Like you should have the attributes of your own gender. That is important. So what I learned from my Gurudev literally trained me in upbringing of Ujjwal. When he was at the age of 10, he told me, now your responsibility is over. Now let him interact more with Ajay, means my husband. Let him interact more with his father so that he can develop that masculine attributes in himself. And let him be trained by him that what are the do's and don'ts to be followed, and also to stick and stay on the path of Krishna consciousness. So what I learned, I just shared with all of you. Again, I'm not a perfect parent, but just trying to follow the instructions of Gurudev, whatever he did. The rest, the result is not in my hand. I can just speak on this forum, but I don't know how he will turn out to be and what there for me to be unfolded. But the training part we can do, rest, it's up to all Krishna. Hope that helps.
Yes, Mataji, definitely that is. I mean, today morning also, we were talking about some practical aspects in today's morning's class. And again, mid-morning, we got an opportunity to hear more on similar subject matters. So I was just wondering, in today's day and age, a lot of times the boys are also trained by the mother, just because, I don't know, the father might not be there, divorced couples, so many reasons. But I did not realize that could actually hamper their growth. But thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, if in some extreme cases there, like if it's a child is being brought up by a single parent, then there is no choice. But if the choice is there, then that's the best we can do.
Thank you, Mataji. I was just wondering, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made sure that it seems a little unfair that the woman did not get to associate with the Lord, and they did not get his direct mercy or his direct association in any way. So, but yeah, that is the mood of the avatar, I guess. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yeah, in this regard also, there is a very beautiful section in Chaitanya Charitamrita that we have read, that when King Prataprudra was there and Mahaprabhu visited Jagannath Puri, and there was a Rath Yatra, so there was a proper arrangement being made, and all the men were there, they were hanging around, they were singing, doing Sankirtan, and everybody was getting the opportunity to engage in some service for Mahaprabhu. And at that time the women were feeling left out, because Mahaprabhu was just distributing Krishna Prem to each and everyone. So how come the women were left out? And in that regard, King Prataprudra, he made an arrangement for the women to on a big, big elephant, and there were big palanquins, and the women were inside. And the women were able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Women were able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that Darshana Matra Pavitra Hoy. Just by seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the love of Godhead, that Krishna prema aroused even in the hearts of those ladies. So
That's wonderful.
he was bereft of it. Yes, Mahaprabhu, because of that particular incarnation, he didn't associate. But even if the opposite sex sees Mahaprabhu, that, she will get Krishna prema. Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Shigaranga. Mataji, yet another wonderful class. As always, your classes are very, very beautiful, and then I just love how you give the classes. I think it's just so like I feel like very soothing, like as what Indrika Mataji said. It was such a sensitive topic, but you gave it in such a clean manner, or Preeti Vilasini Mataji. Yeah. So it was just so beautiful. One question I have about this topic, especially when you said or you responded to Indulekha Mataji, is, you said the boy has to be raised by the father after 10 and under the care of the father. But then what if the values are different for the wife and the husband from like Krishna consciousness perspective? So in that case, how are we, can women still imbibe or try to imbibe those values in a son even after 10? Considering what you've told about, making sure the feminine side is not really provided or shown, and both, right? Obviously both father and mother can raise, but more like, the values from the Krishna consciousness aspect. Because I, personally, I have started talking about brahmacharya to my kids since they were little. And then I say it in a very, very, very like, I guess, innocent way. I try to tell them, not giving any kind of great details or anything, but very, very high level. I start telling them, and I see the difference. Like, I keep on imbibing these. So my son, after being, a little older, like now he's 13, now he doesn't want to hear me about that. Like, he's like, okay, mom. But I still just, pinpoint that kind of thing, just to get that, because I know there is an influence outside. I cannot control that, and I also know that the surroundings, is not Krishna conscious ideally, I guess, that I should say. So in that case, can I still give these kinds of values?
Of course. My point was not that a mother should be totally left out and should not train the child after 10 years. My point was not that. Guru Maharaj was there. But the thing is that more interactions should not happen, because then the child will develop those feminine. But again, checking the child, of course, it's our duty. Whether it's the duty of both the parents, training from both the parents. But when children grow up, and then especially when they're in the teenagers, there are some difference, some hormonal changes happen. So very difficult for a mother to handle a boy at that time. It's a challenge, because there are different aspects to a mother's nature and, to a feminine and a masculine nature. So it has been trained by father, they grasp it more. They take it easily. Right? That was my point.
Yes.
Being a parent, it is our duty. For time and again, we have to check them. We have to instruct them. And even that instruction can come from you to a boy, or from a father to a girl. Yes, it's okay. That instructions can come, but more association, like after teenager, it is said that children should be like a friend, or parents should be like a friend to their children. No more parenthood is needed after the age of 13. Because after that, it's just a friendship should be there.
Okay.
Right. That friendship, that closeness is there between the same gender, then it results better.
Mm.
Right? It results
Right,
better.
right.
So if suppose I give the example of my son, that if my son now, like after the age of 13 or 15, if he becomes more close to his dad, he will be definitely he'll be more close to that because of the same gender.
Right, right.
No? And then it will be more fruitful also. But that doesn't mean that I always take a step back and let only my husband treat him or train him. Time and again, even I can instruct whenever the time needed. It's not like that. But more interactions, those things like should be,
Right.
and a girl should try to share something with the mother. But
Okay.
it says, Gurur na sasyat, swajana sasyas, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyas, daivam tata sasyat, na patis chanasyan, na mochayadiyat samupete mrityum. That one who cannot deliver their dependence on the path of the spiritual path, or just to divert from the repeated birth and death, should never become a spiritual master, should never become a husband, should never become a father, should never become a mother. So that is the great responsibility, that if we have children, we should always put our own endeavor, not worried about the result, whether they will be Krishna conscious or not. But at least from my side, let me give the whole Krishna conscious. Just train them properly.
Yeah.
And that Krishna consciousness can be given by either of the parent. That doesn't.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Wonderful class. Hare Pranam.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga. Such a detailed class, Mataji, and so many things to learn for everyone. So it is very nice class. Whatever you explain about how you can say that illicit sex, and you explain all 8 types of points. But Mataji, I want to know the whatever is the 8th point, Adhyavasan. Oh, okay.
Yes, the word is actually Adhyavasaya.
Excuse me?
Adhyavasaya.
Adhyavasaya.
Putting our effort in doing.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, so much. It was very nice class and nice learning for all parents. Very nice class. And I like that point, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was giving his mercy. So even the woman, they just got only by sees his mercy, and it was very nice. I like that one. And I like the one more point, that if we filled our mind with engaging in service of Krishna, then no mundane thing will come in our mind. There is no time to come any kind of thoughts in our mind. So I love that things, Mataji, too much. So if nobody have any question, Mataji, so should we end the call?
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for your very enlightening class today. And we are very grateful to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you. We look forward to your association again in future.
Mataji, I think Shivani Mataji had a question.
Somebody has.
Shivani Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanam Pranam. Yes, I have one question. As you mentioned in the beginning of the class, the importance of tilak. So if one is not yet initiated and the family is not in Krishna consciousness, but is wearing a tulsi mala, so how can one, put the tilak, because people still have issues and problems, and they make remarks. What can be done in that case?
The rest of the body parts, you can easily put tilak because they will be hided anyways.
Yes.
It's only about the matter of your forehead.
Yes.
So actually one should put tilak. It has been described in Caitanya Bhagavata only that a body which is without tilak is like a crematorium. It's like a dead body. But if you are worried about that, people will put some remarks on you, pass some comments on you, then, it is recommended that at least put a water tilak. Water tilak means that take a water and put in the form of a tilak, remembering Keshavaya Namaha, Om Keshavaya Namaha. So Krishna in the heart knows that, why you are doing so, because you don't want other people to comment on you, so that you don't get disturbed. So this way, or another way is just put, people will pass comments maybe 2 days, 4 days, 8 days, 10 days, and then they'll get used to it. But if they are your close family members whom you are interacting every day, then, instead of hearing those words, just put water tilak, and rest of the parts you can put, because it will be hidden under clothes, nobody will be able to see. Because this place, this body is a temple, so we should decorate it with tilak.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dhanapana.
But for others, like sometimes, even when I was very new to Krishna consciousness, I was hesitating in putting tilak, especially when I go to some malls or some Walmart or some place, why I should put tilak. I was hesitant at that time. But slowly and gradually, when you put, then people will get used to it. And rather they will ask you, hey, what is there on your forehead? It's such a beautiful mark. And then you have the opportunity to preach. Right?
Yes, Mataji.
Even in my, back now in India also, whenever I go, I used to put tilak. People used to say, my relatives used to say a few things, but now they know my culture, they know my standard, they get used to me. So they don't say anything now. So if you have the power to fight back, and if you have the power to tolerate all those remarks, then just put, they'll get used to it one day or another. And if not, you want to give it a time, then just put water tilak, remember Om Keshavaya Namaha, and rest of the body parts you can put the tilak.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dhanapana.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you.
Somebody have any question? Or can I end? Right? Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Caitanya Bhagavata की जय,
Jai.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय,
Jai.
हर ग्रेस कीर्तिदास सुंदरी देवी दासी माता जी की
Jai.
जय, हरि बोल
Jai.
माता जी, हरे
Thank you so
कृष्ण,
much, Mataji.
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण माता
Krishna.
जी,
Pranam. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Mataji.